The sky of Aurealis 9 never knew the comfort of stars. Its atmosphere was heavy with sulfur clouds, and its night stretched endlessly cold, the winds dragging across the plains like the cries of ghosts. Humanity had once carved colonies into the frozen crust, drilling geothermal tunnels to feed heat into metallic shelters. But after the Syndicate Wars, most outposts were abandoned, left to scavengers and survivors who clung to existence like brittle roots in poisoned soil. Captain Rhylen Vey moved through this wasteland with a soldier's precision. He had been part of the Earth Union before the collapse, a man bred in discipline, surviving long after his squad perished. He carried little with him now, an exosuit patched with scavenge plating, a rifle whose power cells he guarded as though they were gold, and a heat core strapped across his chest, a dull blue shard of captured geothermal energy that gave him the only luxury left in the galaxy, warmth. Warmth was currency. Warmth was survival. And warmth, he had learned, was power. On the 4th to 7th night of his crossing through the Eridan tundra, he stumbled upon a half-buried settlement. It had once been a Syndicate mining post. Its dome collapsed inward from orbital bombardment. He expected silence, only the crunch of ice under his boots. But then he saw her. A woman stood at the entrance of a fractured tunnel, cloaked in rags that could not possibly fight the cold. Her lips were cracked, her skin pallid with frostbite, but her eyes burned bright with desperation. She stepped forward and fell to her knees in the snow, trembling hands reaching out toward the glowing shard on his chest. "Please," she rasped, voice like brittle glass. "Just one night of warmth. I can pay. I'll give myself." Her words faltered, but the meaning was clear. One night in exchange for heat. Rhylen stiffened. He had seen this before. The broken, the desperate, offering what they had left. But he was not a man who trafficked in flesh. He opened his mouth to refuse when another sound reached his ears. A whimper, thin, soft, and heartbreakingly fragile. From behind the woman's ragged cloak, a small face peeked out. A child, no older than 5. Her cheeks were raw from wind, and she clutched a broken doll carved from scrap metal. The child's eyes met his, huge, hollow, and flickering with the faintest spark of life. The woman whispered, choking on the words, "If not me, then at least her. She can't survive another night. Please, take her." Ryland's chest tightened, the shard of warmth pulsing against him. Memories long buried clawed their way back. The cry of his own daughter, lost years ago when the Syndicate burned their convoy. He had carried her small body into the snow and buried her with shaking hands, cursing the universe and its cruelty. And now, here, the wasteland offered him a mirror. Another child, fragile as glass, teetering on the edge of death. He crouched, ignoring the rifle at his back, and met the girl's gaze. "What's your name?" The child swallowed. "Lira." Rhylen rose to his feet. "Then I'm not taking heat for one night. I'm taking both of you with me." The woman blinked in disbelief, as though she had misheard. What are you saying?" "I said," Rhylen repeated firmly, extending a gloved hand. "Get up, pack whatever you have. You're coming with me." They traveled through the endless tundra, the mother, whose name was Kaelen, walking with faltering steps, and Lira clinging to her side. Rhylen adjusted his heat core so that its field extended wide enough to cover them all. It meant he burned energy faster, but he didn't care. Kaelen explained between shivers. Her husband had died in the Syndicate raids. She had been hiding in the mining tunnels ever since, scavenging fungus and melted snow to keep her daughter alive. "I would have given anything," she whispered once, "anything, for just one more night where she didn't shiver in my arms." Rhylen said little, but his eyes stayed sharp. Each ruin they passed told its own story. Burned shelters, abandoned transports, the skeletal remains of families who hadn't made it. Lira, though weak, asked questions in a soft voice that reminded him of his daughter. "Why is the sky red? Why do the machines sleep? Will we find a place that's warm forever? He never lied to her. The sky is red because the world is broken. The machines sleep because no one wakes them anymore. But yes, he added, we will find warmth. I promise you. As days bled into nights, the bond between the three deepened. Kaelen, once brittle and ready to sell her dignity, began to regain strength under the steady presence of Rhylen's warmth. Lira smiled more, her cheeks less hollow, and Rhylen, for the first time in years, felt the ice inside him thaw. But the wasteland was never merciful. On the 9th night, as they camped within the ruins of a shattered crawler vehicle, Rhylen detected movement on his sensors. Scavenger bandits, feral remnants of syndicate deserters, had tracked the glow of his heat core. The attack came at dawn. 6 men, armored in mismatched plating, swarmed the crawler with rifles blazing. Rhylen fought like the soldier he once was, his rifle spitting blue plasma into the storm. 2 fell quickly, but the others pressed in. Kaelen shielded Lira with her body, but one bandit wrenched her away, snarling, "The heat's ours." Rhylen's blood ignited. With a roar, he tore through the bandit line, slamming his rifle butt into a skull and firing point blank into another chest. The last man dragged Lira, knife at her throat. "Drop the core," he demanded. Rhylen froze, every instinct screaming. But then Lira looked at him, her small eyes unwavering. She trusted him. Without hesitation, Rhylen dropped his rifle, raised his hands, then triggered the emergency pulse on his heat core. A wave of searing energy burst outward, flinging the bandit back. Rhylen lunged, scooping Lira into his arms. The knife grazed his armor but never touched her skin. When the dust settled, all 6 bandits lay motionless in the snow. Kaelen collapsed in tears, clutching Lira the moment he set her down. You nearly died." Rhylen's voice was steel. "No, she nearly died, and that I will never allow." Weeks passed. Together, they crossed frozen ridges and toxic valleys until, at last, a flicker of hope appeared. The Haven Spire, one of the last functioning geothermal colonies, rumored but never confirmed. Its towers pierced the sulfur clouds, glowing with warmth and life. The gates opened after long negotiations. The guards eyed Kaelen and Lira with suspicion, but Rhylen vouched for them, offering his heat core as tribute. "They come under my protection," he declared. Inside, Haven Spire was a miracle. Real food, real air, real warmth. Lira ran through the markets with wide eyes, Kaelen smiling for the first time in years. And Rhylen? He finally laid down his rifle, though never far from reach, and allowed himself to breathe. He had not traded warmth for a single night. He had chosen instead to carry 2 fragile lives through the wasteland, and in doing so, he discovered his own reason to live again. One evening, as the artificial sun bathed Haven Spire in golden light, Kaelen approached him. "Back then, I thought you would take what I offered and leave me to die. Why didn't you?" Rhylen looked at Lira, laughing as she played with other children. His throat tightened. "Because once, long ago, I had a daughter, and I failed her. When I saw Lira, I swore I would not fail again." Kaelen's eyes glistened. She placed a hand on his arm.